Greetings everyone and welcome to Avorion, an early access indie title that was released on the 23rd of January onto Steam and is developed and published by Boxelware, and additionally has been recommended to me by a disproportionately large number of the people that I know. Now, initially sold to me as From the Depths in Space, a description which is not actually far off the mark. I would say that this game is more... well, it's more of a cross between EVE Online, X3, and perhaps a bit of StarMade. If you've ever played EVE Online or X3 and have thought to yourself, this game is practically perfect, the only thing it lacks is the ability for me to build my ship piece by piece, then this is a game you may want to take note of. Now, there is multiplayer. We're probably not going to be messing around with that, at least not at the beginning, but we're going to be jumping into single player. Aavak is the initial galaxy that I used on stream last night. We did check it out for about 4 hours, and I built a couple of derpy ships, so I'm going into this not entirely blind, but still quite new to quite a lot of the things in the game. Now, the galaxy name shall be the Dapperdell Galaxy. The seed shall be... let's see... Oolong. There we go. Right, now the galaxy does take a little while to generate, so I'm going to skip that and I'll meet you when we are ready to begin our adventures. And here we are in the game. Now, fair warning on this one, there is a lot of information on the screen, and there's going to be a lot of information all over the place that I'm going to avoid addressing until it becomes relevant to what we're doing. Otherwise, it can become a little bit of an info dump. There's always that little bit of a risk with any game that kind of has a technical element to it. A lot of building games, like From the Depths. If you try to explain what everything does on the HUD, you have to explain a lot of the different things in the game that you're not even at yet, and you end up spending so much time. And by the time that you actually get back to dealing with those things, it's so many episodes have gone since you explained how they worked that you need to explain it all again. So we will only cover what is necessary to cover as it becomes relevant to what we're doing. Now, this is relevant to what we're doing, and it is the dock that we have started at. And this little ship that we're moving around in, for those who are used to EVE Online, you can think of this as our pod. This is a drone, and this is what we will always return to whenever we die, or you can elect to get out of your ship, and in which case you'll be in this pod. And the pod has a very specific loadout. We'll just bring up the drone statistics here. You can see all kinds of information on how fast it can move, the thrusting capacity. I know that people are going to be commenting on that, but, you know, reverse thrust, lateral thrust, yaw, pitch, that kind of thing. We also have 2 little mining lasers. Now, these are particularly bad, and I just want to draw attention to one piece of information in particular: the efficiency. Whenever you mine, the efficiency of the laser will dictate how much of the materials you mined you actually get. So with these lasers, we'll get 14% of whatever we mine back as usable ore. That is atrocious, and we will fix that in this episode. Now, as I mentioned, this is the a dock here. We can interact with it if you're close enough to one of the docks. If you middle mouse click on this structure, that is the little reticule, for example, if I do that on an asteroid over there, then it brings up the asteroid in the bottom right. If we do it on the station, it brings the station up. And at that point, the docks are highlighted. And if you fly within range of them and press F, it'll be a very bright green little icon next to it. Then you interact with the dock. Now, you start with 10,000 credits. And for those who dislike mining, I know there will be some of you like that, you can just buy a lot of the materials you need. I wouldn't recommend trying to buy them all. You will need at least 500 iron to make the core of your ship, and that is not even looking at the functional systems you need to add to it. So I'm going to say you want about 2,000 iron. Frankly, you don't have that much money, but you can buy and sell a little bit. From what I understand, the pod, and in fact everything, you don't use up cargo space to hold materials. Those are the materials that you use for building ships. But you do need cargo space for any actual commodities, like linen or agricultural machinery, or, I don't know, recreational stimulants. Whatever you could actually buy and sell at stations, that needs cargo space, but as far as I'm aware, the materials don't. Now, this asteroid over here, with the very visible veins, this is an iron asteroid. If we middle mouse button on the asteroid, it tells us a little bit about it. There's 4,527 units of iron there. We will get 14% of it. This is a regular asteroid. Now, there can sometimes be things in asteroids, so don't discount them, but if you're actually out there to mine for a material, go for the actual asteroids that are that material. Now, the little green crosses, or rather the aiming circles, they turn green when there's something in range. Right now, they're blue. If they're red, it means they can't actually aim at what you're facing at, I think, or rather the turret hasn't turned enough to aim at it. But you wanted to use it when it's green, and we'll slowly burrow into this. Now, we're going to need a fair old whack of iron. Some of the iron is being catapulted away from the ship, and you can just use W, A, S, and D to move around. S and W are your forward and reverse thrust. A and D, your lateral, for example. Now, you will notice that in this game, when you're holding down W, you'll start to accelerate. When you take your finger off W, you'll start to decelerate. I know some of you are already like grabbing your foreheads and like, oh no, really, you're slowing down in space. Why? That's because your thrusters are actively trying to brake you. In this game, if you're not explicitly trying to move forward, then your thrusters will try to bring you to an all stop. Now, that is entirely reliant on your thrusters being in a place where they can do that. It's entirely possible to build a ship which has no capacity to use braking thrusters, in which case the only way to slow down is to about face and then start pulsing your main thrusters to literally just counteract the momentum you've already built up in the direction you were previously traveling. And all of that information is visible in the HUD right at the top. And as I said, we'll cover these things as they become relevant. So right now, this, as you've seen, as we move around, that just slowly fills up with a bright blue color. That is our current momentum. But it is blue because it is our momentum in the direction we're facing. If we suddenly turn around, that turns orange. The more orange it is, the further away you're heading, you're facing from the direction that the momentum is carrying you in. And the little bar just below it that fills up briefly, that is showing that my engines are currently trying to set the speed at that level. Kind of like cruise control. For the most part, your engines are either going to be all ahead full or no thrust at all. But I think on much larger ships, you can actually have more of a sliding scale of energy going to the engine. So you build up to whatever speed you want to be at, and then slowly the bar at the top will move to match the desired speed. Now, we've mined about 1,178 iron. For the most part in the game, I will be doing the mining off camera, but for the sake of right now, we may as well just chat about some of the HUD and UI elements while I'm mining. Wow, we got through that one pretty quickly. Now, there are other asteroids in different colors, and I'll quickly go to the galaxy map by pressing M to cover that. Now, this is the galaxy map. You can zoom in, zoom out. All of these little green pings you see around there are various signals that we've got. These blue lanes are warp gates. And they connect very, very vast distances. Even your pod has a capacity to make hyperspace jumps. So the blue perimeter is the range that you can hyperspace jump to. The color on the background is the kind of the faction ownership, but I believe it's more the faction owner's relationship to you. Green is good, red is bad. Blue is neutral. Kind of a turquoise is neutral tending towards good, and orange is neutral tending towards bad. Now, you can zoom right out, and you can see we've got a very large galaxy here. Right mouse click allows you to scroll around. Whilst this is a sandbox, the overall goal is to make your way towards the center, and there's a number of reasons for that. There's a bit of a story there, though it's kind of hands-off. You have to look for the story, but there is a story, and there's a reason to go to the center. Additionally, as you get close to the center, you will find more, or rather higher tier materials that you can build components of your ship out of. And it's the materials that gate a lot of the progress in this game, and we're about to find out a little bit about that. Now, I want to get back to the resource outpost, and I recommend that you do before you build your ship, because when you build your ship for the first time, you will have no crew. And any dock will allow you to hire crew. So just get a little bit closer to the dock, because it'll make your life so much easier later on. Because if you build your ship way out in the middle of nowhere because you were mining, and then you realize, oh, I've got no crew, Well, good luck getting to any station where you can hire them, because your ship is going to be moving at a snail's pace, because it's not going to have like any engineers manning the engines. Right, so this is close enough. To found your ship, hold down the left mouse button and that untethers your mouse from the mouse look. And then click on this little flag, found ship. There you go, 500 iron is necessary for this, and the name of our ship, we're going to call it the HMSS Midna. There we are. And it shall be a fine vessel. Now, here is our ship, in its all of its blocky glory. It is not the the most interesting looking vessel as yet. And we've also got a load of new warnings that have shown up on our screen, and that's because our ship basically is just a block. It's got life support systems enough for us, and that is it. It doesn't even have any thrusters or engines. You press B to enter build mode, and here you go. Now, there's a lot of information here, and I'll try to cover as much of it as I can without going into too much depth, again, because I want to avoid info dumps. Here are all of the tools that allow you to change and build your ship. We'll be going into depth on this, I'm sure, throughout the series, so we'll touch on things here and there. Over here is all of the important information about your ship. Yellow things are things you should know of, but they're not, make or break issues. Red ones are. These are flat out, this is a problem and needs to be addressed. And as you can see, one of the problems, for example, is we have no thrust. Yaw, pitch, roll, brake thrust. We need mechanics and we don't have anyone. But you can see there's lots of things in here. Now down here, as I was saying, in regards to gating your progress, we only have iron at the moment, so we can only make things out of iron. Makes sense. There's still a lot of things there, and you've got shapes and primitive shapes. You've also got some prefabs that you can build. You've also got functional components like engines, thrusters, crew quarters, solar panels. Now, whilst all materials have the basic shapes, like hull and stuff like that, and the material properties, so for example, the higher tier materials just have better material properties. For example, they might be lighter, they might be more durable, etc., etc. But as you go through the different materials, for example, this is titanium, you actually unlock new functional components as well. Titanium can make a titanium energy container, titanium generator, or a titanium field integrity field generator. That's a really important thing, by the way, later on. Further down, you'll get things like the hyperspace core to improve the distance you can make in one jump. Further down, you'll get hangars so you can launch fighter pilots, shields, computers, and at each stage, the basic functional components can still be made of that material, and it will probably function better. I can't say for certain because I've only ever actually gotten up to titanium. Titanium, one of the best things about them is it's all lighter, so you can do a lot more with your ship. But we're limited to iron at the moment. But as you get closer to the center, you'll get freer access to the higher tier materials, and you'll be able to make more interesting parts on your ship. Now then, with our ship, we've got that handy dandy little holographic arrow telling us which way is forward, which is super useful, as I'm sure you can imagine. Now, we could use up all of our iron. You could just go out with your drone, mine like thousands of iron, and then make a massive cruiser or something. But I would like to just throw something quick together so that we can get out and actually do a little bit of play. Now, I would like to lock this to the middle of the block here and then scale it. You can scale with WASD. W scales it completely in all dimensions. And then AS and D scale it in a specific dimension. Now, what I would like here is we're going to go for well, I mean, it's not so much realistic as it is fun. We're going to go for a little mining vessel. I'm thinking we want it to look properly industrial, because that's all this is going to be. It's going to be a little mining vessel. So there we go. We've started off with a little gantry. This is our core block, and it will always be there. At the back, the first functional component I think we're going to want is an engine. So let's consider popping that in here. So if we will be a little bit artistic. I'm going to refrain from being too focused on the aesthetics of this particular build, because it's just going to be a little ship that I want to get done as quickly as I can and then move onwards. But I will highlight some of the building possibilities you can make. So we want an engine. Now, with a lot of the functional blocks, I've noticed that volume is less important than surface area. That is not true of engines, but there is a point where you stop getting the benefit from it. For example, when it's this that much surface area on the engine component, the part that's facing backwards, it gives us a certain amount of bonuses, and as we increase it, it gets a little bit better, but after a point, it stops helping. In fact, it can negatively affect things. So we want about there, I would say. Let's go ahead and pump that down. There we go. So we've got 41.8 meters per second thrust and a maximum velocity of 180 meters. You know what? I think I would actually like this to be a little bit different. So let's expand this out, shall we? There we go. Now that is a pretty nice little engine for a wee mining vessel. Now the next thing I would like to do is fit an engine just in this section. And I would like to shrink this down, though perhaps... I'm not sure, because there's kind of overlapping there in an awkward way. That being said, we could shrink it a little bit more. No, that would be overall bad for our ship, it seems. That would not help us in any way. That would generally take away. So it would just be adding too much mass, perhaps, and not enough additional thrust for the ship. Let's change this around a little bit, because I do like the idea of having a more interesting looking ship. So we'll pop that in there and then shrink this down a bit. Now, how much could we get from this? Yeah, that'll add a reasonable amount to the thrust there. A small group of alien ships has appeared. Oh dear. Now you have got mirroring controls as well, so we can do this, for example, and we would add 18.3 meters per second by plonking that engine on both sides. So there we go. We've got an interesting engine structure there already. Now that has done nothing to help us with thrust, and that is a bit of a problem. So what we're going to do next is we're going to add a faceplate onto the front of the vehicle. Now if you select any item by middle mouse clicking on it and then press F, you'll focus the camera on that part. That is going to become incredibly useful to you as you build. I didn't work that out for a little while, and wow, when I worked it out, did it make things easier. Let's go ahead, and I would like to build this up a reasonable amount. I kind of want like a shield on the front of this vessel. Let's bring it out a little bit more. Yeah, something like that. And then we'll shrink it right down and bring it out just a little bit more. To about there will do. Now that is going to be where we're going to be placing our turrets, the mining turrets that we're going to be using. But back here, this gives us a little bit of room for us to put some thrusters down. Now thrusters very much benefit from the whole surface area rather than volume. Volume makes no difference. It's all about where the surface area of the block is, because that will affect how many thrusters can be on there. As you can see, the dots relate to the thrusters, and currently we've got thrusters pointing up, pointing down, pointing back, and pointing to each side. That is great, but it hasn't really helped our braking thrust that much. It has a little bit. Now, what I would actually like is... let's tone that down a little bit. Something around there. That'll give us quite a lot of thrust, but it'll massively mess up with our actual forward thrust. So let's pull that right down. Doesn't give us much in terms of your pitch, roll, and brake thrust, but it's enough, I feel, compared to what this vessel is. We can go a little bit further. For example, if we lock this in the middle, I actually really like the block middle lock. That allows for quite convenient building. And then we're going to change the scale step. Now the scale step, as you can imagine, affects how wide and things like that you can do. That would actually really ruin my forward thrust though. Let's see if I can shrink these down to the point that they no longer do that. There we go. That'll give us a lot of brake thrust, because literally they're facing the right direction. We won't lock it to the middle though at that point, I think. Let's lock it to the local grid. And in fact, let's focus on this particular part so we can position this a bit better. Something about there, maybe? Yes, I like that a lot. Plonk that there. So all those are reverse thrusters, and that should help the ship a fair bit. There we go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want, we currently need one mechanic, but that is because we haven't placed down any weapon systems. We want iron mining turrets. Quite badly, actually. So let's go ahead and pop some of these down. Now, you'll notice that these turrets are a lot more efficient. They're still bad. We'll only get quarter of the ore that we're mining, but that's a lot better than just under 15%. And we can place these on the nose there, and they should be able to easily mine anything we're looking at from that position, I would say. We will also add a single chain turret up on top. There we go. And that little warning there is because I had the mirror mode active. So there we go. We've got the necessary components at the front. Now at this point we need more crew. For example, we need 2 gunners and 4 miners. We still need a mechanic. Engineers are generally staff that you're going to need. So we're going to need a fair bit of crew quarters because we've only got 4 at the moment. So we're 3 shy. So how about we go ahead and add something in there. Now, what I'm thinking is I would actually quite like to make this vehicle... Well, I don't know. I have an idea of making it look properly industrial. And to me, I've got images of the Red Dwarf ship in my mind. I'm not going to... It's unlikely I'm going to be able to make this even remotely look like that. And of course, it's a small ship, so I'm not really trying to get that. We're going to need this to be a little bit longer, and then... Let's see. We're going to want... Let me see if I can do this. There we go, that works. Let's pop a few struts along there. And in my mind, having the crew quarters up on top, it just looks good. A lot of people will put the crew quarters in the front or in some inaccessible place, but I like the idea that the crew are actually just looking out of windows all the time. So let's go ahead and we'll increase this back up to a 5 scale and grid size, and we should be able to place these down as well. I'll expand this out a bit. Quite a long crew quarters. Now the crew quarters, like quite a few blocks, will only work if it is a certain size. If it's too small, it can't function properly. So that gives us an extra 3. I can just increase it a little bit. That'll give us extra 5 crew. I like it. I think we can make do with that. So there we go. There's our crew quarters up on top there. Now the final thing that I would like to add to make this functional would be some cargo bays. Now we don't need those. Again, I think the cargo bays are only really necessary when you're dealing with commodities. But this is a mining vessel, and in my mind, that means it needs to have a cargo bay. And for these, I'm going to want to mirror. Now, I am getting a little bit fancy with this, I guess. So I'll try and limit it to just these ones. Don't worry. But hopefully it'll look quite nice. We'll just get those protruding out a little bit so that we can have some cargo containers. You know what? I'd actually prefer 3. So let's go ahead and do that. So 2, that one there, and that one's a little bit shy. What we can do instead then is if I just move the grid size, I can just move it along halfway. So I can have one there and then one there. There we go. Perfect. Right. Now, we're going to design a little prefab structure, and this will allow me to showcase the way that you can save designs and actually kind of merge them together. So we want a cargo bay, and we're only going to design one for now, so no more mirroring. I also want to focus on this particular tile, so it'll be nice and easy for us to see. So the first thing we want to do is grow that out just a little bit, and then grow it up. This is not going to add very much cargo space. Again, much like the crew quarters, you need a certain amount of size to these cargo bays for them to work at all. And I'd also like this to snap to the middle of this block. Let's make the cargo bays... you know what? Sure, that's a decent size. So there we go. We've got a nice big blocky shape there. We will then add a slope to the top and the bottom just to make it look a little bit nicer. And if you press R, you can rotate. There isn't back and forward. You just have to click multiple times until it's rotated in the direction you want, basically. Sure, you know what, that's fine. Pop that one there. And then down here, we'll do much the same. There we go. So that's our little cargo bay. Now, if we want to duplicate this, you can use the block select tool. There we go. We've only selected this. Now, you can at this point just go ahead. Ooh, I have not selected this part for some reason. Let me just make sure I do. Yoink. No, I don't want the ones in the background. Damn it. Hopefully, there we go. Just those ones. Now, if you do Control-C and then Control-V, you can place this down. And once again, you can rotate it. So there you go. Plonk. Nice and easy. If, however, you wanted to save this design forever, you don't on this particular one. You can just Control-V in there. And there you go. That prefab is now there forever. And we'll just go ahead and place all of these down. So we've got these rather awesome looking little cargo slots. It is adding extra mass to the ship that you don't need. But I think it looks pretty cool in the end. And it'll look even cooler when I do the last little bit, which is to color them. You can use the color. Now, you can select this beforehand, in which case every block you place down will take that color. But I think we'll just go with this. And along that note, I think we're going to have some mirroring. So I would like these blocks. Ooh, that is particularly bright. Let's not quite go that bright, shall we? That's eye-bleedingly bright. There we go. And we can go for a nice golden color on this one. And then finally, we'll go with a blue color at the end. So there we are. We've got our cargo containers just on the side of the ship. Now, that isn't the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to do the rest of the refinement off camera, and I'll bring you back when I think we've got a vessel worthy of the name HMSS Midna. And there we go. The HMSS Midna is complete. And yes, I did just spend 20 minutes shaping the front of my tiny, almost certainly soon-to-be replaced mining vessel to look like a ferret's head because I named it after one of my ferrets. I see nothing wrong with this. I see absolutely nothing wrong with this. Oh, I do see something wrong with that, though. Oh, badness and sadness. I must not have had my mirroring mode on. Oh, no, ow, drat. Basically, massive levels of drat. However, I can quickly fix this. Do not worry, because we can just do this. Bump, bump, bump. There we go. And that is all sorted. And then we'll do exactly the same on this side. You just middle mouse button, Control-C, and then you Control-V it later on. It's almost like I did that intentionally, just to illustrate how to get past a bit of a mistake. I didn't. That was 100% an actual mistake, but there we are. There we go. The HMSS Midna is ready, and quite impressive stats for a tiny little vessel as well. Okay, you press B, and there you go. Your ship is ready. Ah, glorious. Now we need to go and dock. We need to dock because we desperately need some crew. How many crew do we need? Let's have a look. If you press, well, I pressed P to bring up the ship menu. And that takes you to the weapons mode. And while we're here, we may as well add these to control groups. So if you just click on it and then press a number, in this case 1 for my combat weapons, 2 for my mining lasers. Then if you just hold down that number, it will toggle to that thing. And while we're here, you can actually right-click on these and choose a fire mode. You can choose attack targets, auto fire, situational, controlled by player. Now, bear in mind that you can choose these to be auto-fire, and that goes for mining turrets as well, and they will automatically fire on things that they can mine, and likewise with weapons, they'll automatically fire. But if you choose auto-fire, you do take a fairly hefty damage debuff. And that's true of mining lasers as well. It's not as much of an issue with mining lasers, but, you know, it's something to be aware of at the very least. For now, I guess, you know, we'll set up our main weapon to be auto-fired. At this point, it doesn't matter that it's there. I can't actually fire it. If I go for 2, can I fire this? Oh, what's the issue there? If I selected something, selected that, let's go ahead and move in close. I wonder, have I set them up properly? I may not have. Either way, let us press F now that we're at the dock. Oh, of course, I haven't got people to actually run the turrets. I'm such a dope. Hi, crew. I'm moving ahead of myself. Now, you can have general crew, and there's probably a reason to do that, because then you've got people to replace necessary tasks. Now, this place only has a couple of crew members available. Lieutenants, security, pilots. Now, security will help with boarding. Boarding is not yet implemented, but you can have, like, attackers. Pilots, fighter pilots are actually implemented. I believe we need... let's bring this up so I can actually be certain of this. We need 1 mechanic. So let's get 1 mechanic. Higher. And as you say, because they're a professional, they're a little bit better at the job. So 1 mechanic does 1.5 man-hours worth of work in mechanics. Or engineering, rather. If you had a regular crew person, they could do the job, but they would only do 1 man-hours worth of work. We need 4 miners. Ooh, we do not have miners, but we do need 2 gunners as well. So we'll buy 2 gunners. I believe the miners are... You can just hire regular crew for that without too much issue. So let's go ahead and hire the 4 that we need. There we go. Pop. And then over here, they'll be automatically assigned. You can turn that off and assign them yourself if you particularly want to. And there may be reasons to do that. Now, our ship is very weak compared to all the other ships in the region. Yeah, that's going to be the case for a little while. This is just a wee little mining vessel. What do you expect? But there we are. Our mining lasers now work. If we turn on the main gun, I'm not shooting it even though it's active because that is now a purely automated weapon. But there we are. The HMSS Midna is ready. You can hold down control to look around your ship. So you can have a proper... I'm unreasonably happy with how that turned out, honestly. I think I did I did a good job. Right, okay, so what we're going to want to do now, it would probably be worth our time wandering over there to see if we can't possibly find some other types of asteroids. They would be especially useful. And as you can see, we are moving much faster with this. Now, one thing you may have noticed is the camera is kind of in an awkward position, and depending on how big your ship is, that can be a big issue. So what you can do is if you hold down the left alt, it'll center your camera, and you can move it up or down or left or right, however you prefer. I prefer it to be a little bit kind of just over the shoulder, around there. And you can zoom right in, and there we go. So that should work, but depending on the size of your ship, you might need to do a lot of work to get the camera in just the right place, because you don't need to build ships symmetrically, for example. There might be a very specific place that your camera has to be, because it's the only place where it'll actually work. My main weapon is trying to train all the way over there for some reason. I don't know what it wants to shoot, but it wants to shoot something. Hello everybody, mobile equipment merchant. You'll be here. I'll be here for another 15 minutes. Come look at my merchandise. That's actually kind of useful. Where were you? Where's the mobile equipment fella? Probably one of these, I imagine. That's a Corvette. That's a Corvette. Salesman. There we go. There'll be all sorts of merchants who'll drop by, things like that. Lifters. If you want to be a pirate, well, you know, you can be. I'm not going to sing the song. I hope I didn't get your hopes up, because it's not going to happen. Well, maybe. If I become a pirate, I'll sing the song. But until then, no. But you can be a pirate. Just understand, you know, a pirate's life is fairly hard because everyone wants to kill you. And also, if you want a place to be able to sell your loot, you're going to need to find a smuggler's hold or a smuggler's hideout. And that's going to require a little bit of investment. You probably could be pirate right from the onset, but you're going to be playing in ultra hard mode if you try. It's probably best to just get yourself situated a little bit. You know what? Why am I going over here the normal way? Why don't I use boost? But it's probably best to get yourself situated first and then become a pirate. Once you've got the scanners that will help you find the various places deep in the darkness. These are the wrecks from the combat that we've been seeing flashing in the distance all this time. Now, if you get a salvaging turret, you can indeed break those down. You can actually get some really good things. Is that it? I think it's a titanium asteroid. Come on, let me get there, please. Oh, my lateral thrusters are naff. I need more of them. There we are. There is our asteroid. Oh, it's going to be grand. You know what though? I am kind of tempted to... Let's just slow down, shall we? Come on. There we go. Our braking thrust is pretty bad. Once we're at full speed, it takes a long time to slow down. Now, what I would super duper like to do is actually see if this will work. Will you auto-fire? You want to mine that one, do you? Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, I'll just sneak a little bit closer to both. I guess I can do that. Let's see. Let's actually have a look at the marvelous. Midna is eating asteroids with her whiskers. Ah, this is the best ship I've ever made in any game ever. Easily. However, I would actually prefer that to attack target. So what if I do this? Will they target this one now? No? You're absolutely committed to getting that one. Okay, fine. I'll do it this way then. There we go. We'll get a bunch of titanium, and that's going to give us the ability to do a couple of new things. Namely, we're going to be able to add on some much-needed components to our little mining vessel here. Now, I'm probably not going to just keep a single vessel and constantly upgrade it. I think it would be more interesting. What on earth is going on? Why are you all being so angry? Oh, I better move, actually, because they are part of the story related to the center of the galaxy. As I mentioned, there is a bit of story down there. And they are neutral to us. Oh, no, Midna bad. Oh, thank goodness. There is a bit of story down there. And the aliens are... They're neutral until you're close to them, basically. If you get in their face, they decide to take yours off. In a nutshell. It's bad times. Especially, I don't want Midna to be hurt. Midna just wants to run around and play and eat. This is why Midna is the mining vessel. She just likes to eat. Midna is hungry all the time. Hungry for new noms as well. The others are cautious about any food that they've not seen before. Not Midna. So, no. The others watch. If Midna doesn't suddenly explode in death, then they might try it after seeing her eat it 2 or 3 more times. But Midna will basically eat anything you give her. She's a bit like the creature from Black and White. Yeah, hold this rock. No, don't. You've eaten the rock, haven't you? You stupid creature. Midna hasn't eaten rocks yet, but I'm fairly certain she would actually give it a good try. Now, how badly damaged is that? It's 30... Oh, it's a salesman. Why were you getting messed up? I thought you were one of the alien races. Let's go and have a quick gander. Let's go and find out a little bit about you, salesman. I could blow you up, but you're friendly, and that would be a scallywag thing to do. Midna is no scallywag. If this was a ship captained by Dark Aavak, perhaps, but not one that I need to slow down so bad. Slow. My salesman friend is no longer here. The salesman friend is over there instead. I need to add better thrusters. But that's kind of one of the things I wanted to showcase, is that you can build your ship in such a way that it is incredibly hard to fly. And then you can build your ship the right way. And we will be making modifications to Midna. You douche. I should have just shot you down. But I will be making modifications to Midna at some point to make her a bit of a better ship in general. We've got hateful relations. Well, I don't care about fighting you then. Let's go, Midna. Let's get in there and hopefully not die. Let's wait until they're mostly dead, though, first. Let's not be stupid. Let's let the other people do all the hard work, and then we'll just benefit from the work. There we go. Let's kind of move away. Where are you? Over there. That's fine. A little bit of a boost. You'll notice when I boost now, the bar down here fills up quite a lot because, you know, I'm draining a lot of power all of a sudden. How much damage are you going to take? Now, let's have a quick look at my weapon. How far can this fire? It has got a range of 5 kilometers. We could sneak in. We could sneak in and try and start shooting. Now, as you can imagine, from a game like this, the components are important. You can break parts off of a ship. I don't just have an overall HP. There is a kind of HP in the game, but it's not for the whole ship. There are certain components that change that, like the integrity field generators. But as a whole, if, for example, someone had a really long ship with a single kind of vulnerable spine, then you could just shoot the spine, split the ship in half. The ship would still be fighting. It wouldn't be the 2 halves, though. The half that wasn't with, like, the cockpit, I guess, would be gone. But, oh, there we go. It's already unleashing. And we're worsening our relations. That's fine. That's fine, Midna. You just get involved there. Ah, Midna's very happy. This is just playful. She's just talking with her teeth. Ah, she's getting shot. No. Disapprove. Disapprove enormously. Ouch. Stop shooting at me. Shoot at the other people. They're much more dangerous than I am. There we go. Now, ultimately, it would make sense if I went ahead and actually was fighting manually here, because I would be doing a lot more damage. However, just to show something, I can go in here and repair if I want to. Now, it costs a lot to do that. It's not ideal. It's better to go to a repair dock or a shipyard to do your repairs. You'll get them done much, much cheaper. Right, okay, we're going to swap this into manual mode. I only want my main gun, thank you. Now, if we can actually get close enough to actually hit at this point, we'll do some reasonable damage. But there we are. We're starting to break apart actual components. That little green part that flew off there, and in fact, there's a couple of white ones around the place. These are things that I can pick up and either trade or... actually, in fact, that's cargo, where they're dropping cargo right now. We don't want to steal their cargo. That is a crime, even if we've got poor relations with them. But the components, the upgrade systems, I will be picking that up. And that's what that little green one there is. Let's see if we can't do a little bit of damage. The main thing you want to hit, if you can work out where it is on the ship, is their hyperdrive and their engine, so they can't get away. And then you want to take out their weapon systems, and then you just want to, like, you know, break them apart bit by bit, really. There we go. Let's just get in close enough to pick up whatever this is. I think that was actually a turret. I think that was their turret. There we go. You won't pick up this cargo since it's not yours. You can change that behavior. If you want to be a pirate, I recommend you do, for obvious reasons. But we'll just kill you for now. I think we have completely disarmed them. Let's try and separate some of the arms. The more chunks of the ship you can prevent from breaking, the better it is generally for you, because when you come back with a salvage laser later on, you can take... You'll get a better chance of getting useful components out of large, undamaged systems. So if, like, you can cleave the entire engine section off without destroying the engine section, that's great. You're going to get a much better deal on that. I can't believe that in our first episode we've turned to piracy. Now, it's taken me a very long time to wear my way through this craft, so let's actually start mining it, because you can 100% mine it. You don't do much for mining it, but, you know, you can do it. And you're about dead, and that's going to be okay by me. You're picking up a little bit of currency here and there, and we're about to finish you off. This is where the whole system turns against me and I have to run away. That'd be amusing. No, my relationship with them has improved. I destroyed a civilian ship. Relations with all witnessing factions have worsened, except the ones who approve of it. Good times. Right, well, usually when you disable their ability to run away, they'll just dump their cargo. They're like, just take it all, just don't kill me. We followed up by killing them. But there's parts of their ship that we can come back and salvage later on. Also, if we ever do turn to a life of piracy, we can come back and grab all of this stuff. Maybe. I'm not sure. We can't just sell it, at the very least. I don't think you can just go up to a station and sell stolen goods. Maybe that's something we'll for science in the next episode. But that is going to be it from me and the HMSS Midna, who has turned to a life of piracy. Only partially, though. They hated me first. I don't consider it true piracy until I attack someone who's actually my friend. So you're still not getting the song. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode and will be joining me for the next. As ever, remember to like if you liked, sub if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.